Hello, I'm JMO from NFlight Tech Support. Today I'm going to talk about one of the simplest things you can do to improve your GoPro cockpit video. The low-hanging fruit, coming to you live from the Bend Municipal Airport in Central Oregon. What am I talking about today? The NFlight Propeller filter. Comes as a kit of two with an ND8 and an ND16 filter. One for mellower light, cloudier days, or just not bright days. That'd be the ND8. And then the ND16, which I'm going to be using today for very bright days. We've had a lot of forest fires lately in Central Oregon, which fills the sky with a very reflective haze, particularly on the horizon. So there's nothing worse than having your view out your window in your video completely overexposed, including having that ugly bending propeller in your video. And for the mere and simple purchase of the NFlight little GoPro filter kit, boom, you can totally change your cockpit video game. What other items am I going to be using in today's demonstration? I'm going to be using the 3.5 millimeter GoPro mic adapter and the NFlight digital audio cable. They can be purchased separately or together as a kit. I'm also going to be using our NFlight camera door. It replaces the stock GoPro door. The door holds the battery in tight, but then also features a little port, a little slot for the USB-C connector. Very slick, very slick. The key is, once I have the filter on, you always got to remember that with the GoPro on the screen, what you see is what you get. And by placing a shutter speed control button within the GoPro menu, you'll have to go and figure that one out yourself for the time being, but you can create little shortcut buttons. You can actually put a shutter control. And by turning on the shutter control, you can point the camera at the brightest part of the sky and adjust the shutter to where you feel you're going to get the best image. When I'm shooting 60 frames a second with everything on automatic in the 8x7 mode, I usually come up with about 1/480th of a second with the shutter speed looking best. And it keeps my cockpit dark. I don't get fluctuations in exposure as the airplane turns across the sky, and it allows the propeller to give you a little bit fuzzy, but yet you can see through it, no gross, ugly, bending propellers. And you also can see out the windows. And line of sight in your training, obviously, super important. So let's jump in the cockpit and give it a try. Here we go. We're gonna take a lap in the pattern. I want to point out that the sun is behind me right now, and of course I'm only at about 1,000 RPMs. So even with the slower shutter speed, you're going to get a little bit of propeller in there, but it won't be super bent and weird, which is kind of nice. But when you have the sun behind you, right, it lights up the propeller. So sometimes that's going to change. And then, of course, with the filter, even though you're slowing down the shutter speed to get some blur, right now you can see the propeller sort of like stalling there, right? Well, that's just because the RPMs are so low. Once we're flying into the sun, and the propeller is at full speed, it'll be less and less to see. So the filter does a few different things, but obviously the speed at which the propeller is rotating and where the sun is shining on it will still always give you different propeller looks, we'll call it. Bend traffic, Superhawk 45 Golf, right crosswind 16, bent. Bend traffic, Superhawk 45 Golf, right downwind 16, close traffic, bent. So we have a lot of reflective haze from the forest fires, which makes things really bright. But I like having the cockpit a little bit darker. And so being able to see your horizon, I feel, is critically important, especially when you're in training, right? It's one thing to like see yourself, but you got to be able to see what's going on outside.
Yeah, traffic helicopter 7425 Tango for left downwind Bravo taxiway.
And traffic, Super Hawk 45 Golf, turning right base to final, full stop, bent. There we are with a couple laps in the pattern. I just want to quickly go back through and talk about the setup that I just used. GoPro Hero 11, 8x7, 60 frames per second, full screen, full sensor. Hypersmooth was turned on. The ND16 propeller filter. I locked the shutter out to 1/480. But I always recommend using the GoPro screen because what you see is what you get, and you can adjust the shutter. So take your shutter lock, point it at the brightest spots in the sky, and adjust the shutter occasionally. This will still give you a tiny bit of propeller movement effect, which I think is important. You can watch RPM changes, but it doesn't give you that ugly locked banana, the ugly locked banana propeller. Ooh, that's hard to say. Anyhow, I had the camera hanging over my shoulder, directly overhead between the two front seats. Was using the 3.5mm GoPro mic adapter, our NFlight door, the subtle little port for the USB-C cable, and the digital audio cable plugged into the back seats. So yeah, I plugged into the back seats, and then I had my NFlight Nomad headset system. That's it. Go out and get your filter immediately so your videos don't look goofy with funky exposures changing all the time. And of course, the dreaded, ugly, standing banana propeller. Not cool.